Hey, what's up, guys and gals? Eagle Blade here, and welcome to episode 3 of our Mandalorian review reaction series. I am loving the series so far. I'm so glad that I'm going to be able to make more of these videos because I just love talking about this show and I love sharing my thoughts and opinions with you. Of course, this video, like all my videos, is going to have spoilers for the show, so you haven't watched it, I recommend that you watch it before this video because I'm going to talk about spoilers and give a brief summary of things and kind of give my own thoughts and opinions on all of it. And so now let's just dive into it. So, of course, this episode left off with the Mandalorian bringing the Yoda child to the Imperials, and it goes how you would expect. He drops off the kid, but he has a heart of gold and goes and saves the kid. That's pretty much the summary of the episode. That's where we kind of knew this was going. It was a pretty obvious direction, but it was still really well done for it. Just next to you. So yeah, there's still a lot about this episode that was visually fun. It was again kind of like short. The runtimes for the Mandalorian seem to be kind of inconsistent. They don't have a fixed, this is going to be a 40-minute episode or a half an hour episode, which in some cases I guess is good because they let the story tell itself and they tell what needs to be told. So back to kind of the summary, we do see that the way that the Mandalorian goes about it is kind of like, to me, one of the most video game-esque style things. Like, this is something I would do in Skyrim. He basically gets the payment from the Empire, and kind of like the choice is kind of weighing on him, like, yeah. And so what he does after he gets the payment, he goes back there and pretty much goes and shoots up the place, gets the child, and we do actually see that he does have some compassion because he doesn't murder the defenseless Imperial scientist. So whether that was some compassion for that the scientist didn't advocate for the child not to be killed, or whether he's just not going to shoot an unarmed person, that's not his direct threat to him, we don't really know. But that was kind of an interesting moment. The Mandalorian, he's definitely getting some character development. Basically, the core element of him so far seems to be that he is someone that was a war orphan taken in by the Mandalorians, raised as Mandalorian, and that seems to be a defining moment of his character. So that's why he's not going to turn on a child and all that. But this episode also really dived into Mandalorian culture, as we see that he returns to the Mandalorian Enclave to get the Beskar reforged, and some of the other Mandos there kind of like had an issue with him getting this Beskar from the Empire, because it sounds like the Empire conducted their own purge of the Mandalorians. So if you haven't watched Rebels, basically in Rebels, the Mandalorians unite against the Empire under Bo-Katan in a rebellion against the Empire, and then there are Imperial Mandalorians as well, so there's kind of like a second Mandalorian Civil War. So I'm kind of assuming that the Empire cracked down hard on Mandalore, like, they aren't just going to let the Mandalorian Civil War be an internal affair. No, the Empire probably sent their full might to Mandalore and probably glass the planet again or something on that level. It seems like the Mandalorians are hunted and have been hunted and purged just like the Jedi. So in that sense, and it seems like the Mandalorian culture, at least this variant, is much more ritualistic, religious in a sense, because it's like, this is the way. They have, and the fact that they don't remove their helmets at all, it seems like, and when the Mandalorian, he and this other guy, they get into a scuffle, the Mandalorian tries to remove his helmet, it's like, yeah. And so it seems like not wearing the helmet, not wearing the helmet's a big taboo for this sect of Mandalorians, even though we have seen in Clone Wars with Death Watch and then Rebels with other Mandalorian factions that doesn't seem to be as big of a taboo, but who knows. So to me, this sect is definitely it seems like to me it would make more sense for a more zealous sect of Mandalorians to be like this, because if they are hunted and sort of like purged by the Empire, It's like, yeah, that type of mentality is what keeps the culture alive because Mandalorians, at this point, just seem to be just nomadic warriors, and we don't know what's going on with Mandalore. We can only speculate. My personal theory is that probably after the Empire cracked down on the Mandalore, they installed a puppet government, and maybe after the Empire fell, a resurgence of the pacifist government took over. So Mandalorians are kind of still divided and scattered, and they're still fighting to maintain that warrior culture. And then this episode definitely is just, let's talk about the action now of the series, because this episode had a lot of action. Like I said, this to me had very video game type stealth mission element of sneaking in there. You see him just silently taking down these stormtroopers and quite brutally taking some down. He takes out one with a flamethrower, so it was like, just bursting him into flames, which was awesome to see. It was cool, and then how he used like this specialty sort of like multiple homing darts weapon that he gets forged for him earlier in the episode, and that was cool. And then after he takes a child, he breaks the bounty hunter code, so all the other bounty hunters in the city are after him, so he has to take them all, and he's going boom, 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 just fighting surrounded, and that was just a cool fight because he's just like having to give everything he has, and he's really pinned down and surrounded, and he puts up a good fight, but in the end, he's still just one Mandalorian, and he can't take on everyone, and when just all hope is lost, that's when the greatest moment of the series so far comes in, when all the other Mandalorians from his clan come in and help him out. Like, they may have had a scuffle earlier in the series, in that episode, but it's like, this is the way. This is the Mandalorian way of sticking up and fighting for your brothers and sisters, and obviously the fact that he went after the Empire, they probably like, okay, yeah, we're good. And so just seeing all those Mandalorians just come in, jetpacks going boom, boom, just blasting, it was really cool to just see that action. And there's this one guy with like this big heavy blaster cannon, which I'll probably put in the thumbnail for this video, just going boom, 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 boom. So yeah, just really awesome to see that type of Mandalorian action. And that seems like after that, the Mandalorians are going to have to scatter, so it puts the Mandalorian still on his own, and I'm assuming that probably in the climax, because the series is going to be building to some sort of big confrontation with the Imperial Remnant, is what I'm assuming the series finale is going to be. So I'm assuming that after this, the Mandalorian, he's going to be kind of on his own, now alienated from the Bounty Hunter Guild, trying to find work, trying to keep the child safe, and all that. And so then he's going to try to build allies and find work where he can, and probably go after some of the Imperial Remnant. And who knows, maybe we'll see some of the New Republic in this. I really hope we do. But yeah, and then now let's talk about what the Empire might want with the Yoda child, because they wanted to kill the child and extract something from it. So obviously the most logical conclusion is that they're trying to do some experiment with midichlorians, probably, or some sort of experiment with force sensitives, is what is probably kind of an obvious theory. And it's definitely kind of interesting, though, because what exactly would the Empire want to do with experimenting on force sensitives? We know Palpatine had a lot of crazy dark side schemes, like in Clone Wars, where he was trying to kidnap those force sensitive children and turn them into like spies, assassins. So obviously it's like, what sort of dark side alchemy, what sort of like Sith cult rituals are these Imperials messing with? Because there's like a pure, mad scientist element that they could go with this, or pure dark side cultist. So, and here's a question for you guys: would you like to see the Mandalorian take on a Force wielder in this series? Because for me, one of the refreshing things about this is that Force users haven't been a prominent thing, besides for the Yoda child. This is the age where the Jedi Order is still being rebuilt by Luke, and as we know in the new timeline, Luke Skywalker's New Jedi Order doesn't get rebuilt at all. So this is the age where really the Force and the Jedi, the Sith, they aren't really a prominent thing in the galaxy. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how any sort of Force user threat sort of plays into the series. It would be cool if he took on like an Imperial Inquisitor from a visual fight perspective, but I'm not sure if I like the idea story wise. I do want this to be a story on the Mandalorians. It looks like it's going to be that, but who knows where it will go. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it takes us because each episode is just getting better and better. It's definitely a slow burn because each episode's stacking, and it is definitely where you're seeing like you're watching a scene in a movie, scene by scene, you know. So I'm looking forward to where the series builds. I'm gonna probably binge watch the series again over and over again. This series definitely is so good where it does make me want to do repeat viewings. I'm so glad that we have this Star Wars content being produced to such a high quality, and it's just really awesome. So this is Eagle Blade signing off saying good luck and always keep a blade and blast handy. And I'll see you guys in the next transmission.